We live, baby. We live. So let me pull up a few things real quick. Oh shoot, let me get on my Zoom too. Welcome everybody. Welcome to the stream. Let me put in my Telegram chat because last time y'all grilled me for not putting it in my Telegram chat. So actually, let me pull that up real quick. YouTube. How everybody doing on this fine Sunday? Everybody doing good? Let me know in the comment section how y'all doing today. And then, like I said, let me put it in there real quick. And actually, hold on.
Coin has just reached a new all-time high. And if you missed out,
Okay, perfect. All right, so we got that situated. Now let's move this over here so I can see myself. Somebody in the comment section said, I love you, bro. I'm screaming. I love y'all too. So all the way from Africa. What's up, my brother? Or my sister? But all right, so just put it inside the Telegram chat just so everybody could get it. And then so I'll let a few people join before we go ahead and get started. Before we dive into these charts for the week. Now, for everybody that trade gold, y'all let me know. Have y'all been waiting on gold? Because boy, oh boy. Like gold has been golden, and oh my goodness, it was terrible. Like brutal last week. It was just all consolidation. It was just like the worst stuff ever, right? So we're gonna be talking about gold. Risk management. Tell me something, bro. I always lost money. Why did you lose money? It was just all consolidation. Hold on. If you on a Zoom, you gotta mute your mics because otherwise I'm gonna hear myself echoing. Actually, I'm gonna just turn it off. So if y'all got a question, just mute. Just type it in the chat. But all right, you said risk management. Tell me something. I always lose money. Well, first, for anything for risk management, I recommend only risking no more than 5% of your account at any point in time. So, losing is a part of trading. So if you lost a little bit of money, then that's just a part of trading. You're going to lose money sometimes. But if you lost a lot of money, then there's nothing that, there's something that you can do. But it's, like I said, risking a certain percentage of your account, right? Everybody said, talk about patience. Yeah, bro, this ish was brutal. Like, I was sitting there waiting on that sale all week, and I only got to catch one good sale out of that. And I took two sales, but the first one was just like, okay, it didn't make it. And then the second one, it was like, okay, this is a decent trade. But then it was just like, on Friday again, it consolidated. And then it just opened up with this damn gap. And I was like, no way. Like, I thought it was going to open down to a gap that pushed down to the zone, but it opened up to a gap to the upside. All right, so let me scoot my face some more out the way so y'all can see, right? So for anybody that's new, welcome to the stream. Pretty much every Sunday we go over a few pairs throughout the week just to get analysis and a bias for the week. And like I said, we do this every Sunday at 6 p.m. Central Time, week in and week out. So if you're very new to the stream, you can go back and rewatch all of the recordings. They're on my YouTube feed. Just hit the live tab inside of the YouTube, and then you'll be able to access all of that, all of the previous recordings, so forth and so on. And you'll be able to, like I said, take advantage of those, right? So now, with that being said, it's super important that you, when you're on these calls, you take notes, because note takers are money makers. And if you pay attention, if you see my posts on Instagram, you've seen all of that stuff. You literally see the moves play out week in and week out. Like, they happen every single week, right? So you want to be one of those people that's actually taking action, and not just one of the people that's just watching just to watch, right? So let's talk about gold last week, and then we'll move on to where we currently are. So last week we were here on Sunday, right? We were sitting underneath this trend line. So we had this trend line, and I said I'll be looking. Oh shoot, my bad, y'all. I always be forgetting about y'all. Hold on. There y'all go. All right, so like we talked about on Sunday, we were looking for a break, because remember I said we need to break this structure point here. Then we come back to retest this trend line, and then we could look for continuations on the sales, right? So this was the note here. And I said, or if we continue to push up higher, we will watch price at this zone. But if we broke above the zone, retest, and we look to carry it up here. Obviously, this did not happen. And like I was mentioning before, I was looking for overall sell biases, right? So on that Monday, me and my community, we caught these sales here from this overall trend line here. So we caught about 100-ish pips, but price began to push down at this area, and it did not make it all the way to our further take profits. So then it began to consolidate, and then from there it was just one of those ones where it's like, all right, this is consolidating, it's not about to make it. So it was just kind of like a break even trade. And then from there, price was just consolidating, wasn't really making any like good movements, wasn't really breaking any structure points, because it wasn't breaking this high and it wasn't breaking these lows. Like, it wasn't doing anything. It was pretty much just in this overall range for literally like 4 days, right? And then on Thursday, me and my community caught these sales here based off of this trend line break and retest here. So we had an impulse that broke the structure lows, came back to retest this trend line, and then, like I said, we caught sales here, right? So we caught those sales here, and we caught them down to this level of support right here, which was about 200 pips, right? So between those two trades, give or take, we had around 202-ish, 300-ish pips, depending on if you closed on if you closed at this level of support on the very first trade that we took. But this goes to show that you do not control the market. So even though we talked about this move last Sunday, basing it off of this trend line breaking retest, and that we would come down to this zone, that was the bias. It took, let's take the measurement tool. It took 3 days and 11 hours for price to get back down to that zone that we were talking about last Sunday. And like I said, we do not control the market. So that's one thing as traders that we have to understand, is that we simply have to sit on our hands and let the market tell us what it's going to do. So if it's not giving us the price action that we want, then we have to sit on our hands. We have to let the market give us that data before just assuming. Where most people go wrong is that they'll hop in those sales, and then they'll be like, oh, well, Mike said it has to go down to this level of support if it breaking retest, so I'm gonna just hold it. And then was in 3 days worth of up and down drawdown, and it was brutal, right? Or you could just be the person that looks at it and say, this is not making it, it's rejecting this area, I'll wait on the next opportunity. When was the next opportunity? The next opportunity where I called those sales for, of course, my Blueprint Trading Academy students, and we caught this sale down to here. So it was around, like I said, 200 pips, and you could have took advantage of it. And that was the only move on gold for the week. And like I said, we don't control the market. So that's one of those things where typically gold gives us about, around 300, 400, 500 pips a week on the moves. But in this case, it doesn't, right? So where we are sitting at right now, we are still in this nasty consolidation. So I'm going to clean this up just a tad bit so it's not super ugly on the eyes. So let's get rid of some of this stuff here. And we can delete that as well. All right, and then I think I need to readjust this daily trend line because I don't think I've readjusted it in a while. All right, so on this daily trend line, we'll draw it from as such. Oops, that's not what I meant to click. So this point A to point B is giving me a little bit better price point. And this is what you call trend line fanning. So like you have multiple ways that you can draw a trend line. But based off of the data that has been given, this one gives me a little bit better story in a sense because we have bounce, 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 and then bounce here. Now the first one that I have drawn, it looks like it's kind of like breaking and retesting, but it's just consolidating. So that's the reason why I don't want that trend line there anymore, because it just gives a visual, like it looks like it's doing something, but reality price is still just consolidating in between two levels, right? So where we are currently, of course, you know, as we do in week in and week out, we always got to start from the higher time frames. So in our monthly time frame, we can see that we had this wick. Now I can foresee this wick getting filled throughout this next, you know, how many days we got left? 22 days in December. I can definitely see that getting filled, but we still have to be mindful that it was a rejection. On a weekly time frame, not really giving us any clear context clues. On a daily time frame, all we see is this consolidation. On our 4-hour time frame, all we see is consolidation. So if I was to just even put this in one big box, and where is my annotation on Zoom? Here, this is just one big box of consolidation. So from a hindsight standpoint, what I would want to see is even this breaking and retesting to go higher, breaking and retesting to go lower. That's just from like a 4-hour perspective, right? But of course, we can still take advantage of our minor structure moves. So now let's go down to our H1. Our H1, still pretty much the same story, but we do have these levels of support and resistance that we need to pay attention to. All right, so we got this zone, and then we also got this zone right here. So we can also have this trend line right here as such. So the story of this trend line that I just drawn was every time price, oops, wrong thing. Every time price touched this, it pushed down, push down, push down, and then we could see when the market opened, it rejected that trend line and it pushed down again, right? So like I said, I can't foresee this pushing down further, but the way it is set up right now, I will wait on another break and retest underneath this zone. Now of course, we can have this trend line here that what I was mentioning before. This looks like a trend line break and a retest, and we broke beneath this low, so that can be validated. However, it's just consolidating so much that I want to see it kind of break out of those consolidations before I give y'all a clear, concise, because bias, because this could still easily retest the support and push higher. So I wouldn't tell y'all to take it off the break and retest of this, because like I said, it can do multiple things. Now, so what I'm looking for overall, I just want to see a shit break out of this consolidation. So either break to the upside, breaking the highs, retest, and then push up, or a break beneath the lows, retest, and then push down to these lows right here. So that will be the game plan. Like I said, go right now, it's not the cleanest. And as a trader, you kind of got to be able to decipher what's clean and what gives you good opportunities and what's not clean and not giving you good opportunities. In this case, gold ain't really the cleanest right now and it's not giving good opportunities. Therefore, we need to sit out of the gold market until it gives us a clear, concise bias on what's exactly about to happen next, right? So, like I said, I'm waiting on the break above these highs or break beneath the lows, retest and push down, and then we carry it to the next stopping point, which is the next level of support or next level resistance or next level of support. Everybody understand that on YouTube? And let me check my comment section. I took one sell on Thursday, but sat on my hands. My maturity is showing up. Absolutely. There you go. NAS US 30 was better, to be honest. Even SPX did decent. My bias on bullish is gold. My bias is bullish on gold. Well, it can happen. You just gotta wait. Are we looking for longs within the range on the H1? No, I'm not looking for longs on that. It's just, it ain't clear. It's just one of those things where it ain't clear, and I don't trade stuff that ain't clear. So I'm gonna just wait. Now, it, like, to the average person, they think like, oh well, I don't want to miss the move. I don't want to, I don't want to miss out on 50, 100 pips. Like, if it ain't clear, then I ain't taking it, and that's just the motto that I live by. So, I mean, y'all could take longs if y'all see longs, but me personally, I don't see them. Now, not to say that y'all bias is wrong. It's just I don't see it personally, so I won't take them. But like I said, y'all can do whatever y'all please. If y'all see it, y'all see it. But based off of my strategy and based off of how I view the markets, I honestly don't see it yet. And now, I'm not saying that I won't see longs in 24 hours. If it breaks and retest, then that's a whole different story. But currently, at this moment, not yet. I don't see longs or sales yet. It's just consolidating. All right. So, all right. Now let's move on to NAS. What a beautiful sight, right? Of course, and y'all know gold is really my pair, so I ain't really was looking at NAS because it didn't even hit my alerts, but it ended up playing out exactly like we talked about last week, and it shot all the way up. Like, literally, y'all can see it is at this TP now. We've been waiting on this to hit this TP for the longest, and it finally hit last week, but it didn't give us the pullback that I was waiting on, and I was like, ugh. Like, so, all right, here, this is where we were at last week, right? So, last week, remember, I drew this ghost pattern. We were here. So, Sunday at, around this time, we were here. And I was like, all right, I could see this pulling back to this black trend line or coming back to retest this little level of resistance. And then we could look for potential buys. But remember, like I said, we didn't break above this previous high, so I was like, the next thing that I'll be looking for is, since I wasn't already in the move, I'll be looking for a break above this high, a retest of this high, and then I'll be looking for that buy. And what did NAS do? You filthy animal. It pushed up all the way up here, and then it gave a correction, but it didn't correct to the area that I wanted it to correct to. So therefore, I wasn't interested in it. And of course, like I said, gold is my main pair, so I really wasn't even looking at NAS. But it did give an impulse correction and then a beautiful continuation. And it just like shot up. Like, look at this. Like, how many points was this shot up from where we took the call? It shot up almost 700 points, ladies and gents. And like I said, I didn't catch it, but I'm pretty sure somebody did. If you caught NAS last week, let me know in the chat because I want to see something. But like I said, it didn't fit my criteria, so I didn't take it. But I'm pretty sure somebody did. I know for a fact that somebody did because that's what y'all do. Y'all be taking it. Y'all be like, Mike said he was looking for buys. I'm all in on buys, and y'all be on it. But for me personally, like I said, it did not reach my area of interest, which was this previous high that it broke. Now, for my advanced traders, y'all definitely could have taken advantage of the trend line breaking retest here. And once I was like looking back at NAS at the end of the week, I saw this and I was just like, okay, this wasn't a bad trade, but it did give us a break above this trend line, came back to retest this trend line. You definitely could have taken advantage of that, but like I said, I didn't take it because it didn't hit my alerts, and if it don't hit my alerts, I really don't like to look at it, right? Somebody said I call pieces from the top of the break and retest. Nice. Which is better time frame to do analysis on structure? Which balance the high and lower time frame? I like to look at all of them to get a story. And actually, I got a YouTube video about this exact question, literally dropping in a couple days. So it's currently getting edited by my editor right now. So be on the lookout for that. But to answer your question in hindsight, all of the time frames, you will take every single time frame and you will build a case. So like I always use the example of like if you was a detective and you had to get enough evidence to convict somebody. Same thing here. If inside of the market, I can't just use one time frame. That's just like using one piece of evidence that you have and saying that's the end all be all. Like if you had a crime and it was a murder or whatever, you can't just go by off one person's fingerprints being on the scene, because that's not just enough data. Like that's not enough evidence. You have to place, because those fingerprints could have been there from, years ago or whatever the case may be, right? So you have to have multiple forms of evidence in order to say that the market is going to go in your intended direction. So it's not just all analyzing on H1 and that being it. It's not just analyzing on H4 and that being it. You have to analyze on, just like how I do on every week throughout these calls. I analyze the monthly, analyze the weekly, analyze the daily, analyze the 4 hour, analyze the 1 hour, analyze the 30-minute. And I use all of those time frames to then come up with a bias on what's about to happen right now. I would never just get on the 1 hour time frame and say, hey, this is where gold is about to go right now, because I don't have enough data. I have to use all of the time frames and confluence with each other, right? So does it need to touch the trend line? Yeah, if it broke and retested the trend line, I would look for it to touch the trend line. But the only time if it does not touch the trend line that I would consider it valid is if it come back and retest the structure point. So like here, it didn't touch the structure or it didn't touch the trend line. So in this case, I wouldn't take it, like I was mentioning before. But all right, so I hope that answers your question. Now, so where we are on NAS, of course, go to the monthly time frame. Monthly time frame looks amazing. Like this ish is just flying, like all-time highs, beautiful. All right, weekly time frame, pretty much same thing. We could see last week we did break above the high, the last previous all-time high. We did break above that. So what could we potentially expect from the market? Just off of the phases that we understand, we can expect price to potentially pull back into the highs that it broke and then continue on up. But of course, it's the weekly time frame, so you might get one candle that pulls back this week, and then going in the next week get the continuation. But we need the confirmations for that. Daily time frame pretty much telling the same story as the weekly. 4 hour time frame, pretty much same thing. Like y'all can see, like even these pushes didn't have any pullbacks at all. Like we was having just straight like impulses, right? On a 1 hour time frame, we can see we on this time frame we got a little bit of a correction, but they was pretty much just all consolidation corrections. They wasn't really like deep pullbacks. They was just all sideways movement and then continue. So whenever you get a pullback that's sideways like this, that is an indication that the market is going to continue in the trend that it's in, because it's just such a volatile movement that it does not have enough bearish pressure to pull back and go in the opposite direction before continuing. And that's what you see, like I said, in those continuation type trends, right? So currently where we are, like I said, we are sitting at this negative 27, and also we're sitting at this negative 61.8. So I'm gonna show y'all where both of these fibs originate from. So this negative 61.8 was originated from this 4 hour structure in these dots right here. So this impulse, this correction, and then finally got this continuation. So I'm going to drag this over just a little bit here. and then make sure that y'all can see it. So this, the thicker one, is the major structure. The smaller, skinnier one is the minor structure. So we can see, like I said, we hit this negative 61.8. Everybody, well, if you're new to this call, you may not know what it means, but everybody that's been on these calls for a while, y'all know negative 61.8 means reversal. Well, it doesn't mean like absolutely mean reversal. It means that there's a chance that price can reverse. So being that we hit the negative 61.8 and we hit the negative 27 TP off the rip, just off of those two indications alone, I can see NAS pulling back. However, I have to have the validity to verify that. I can't just say, oh, the price is at negative 61.8, I'm gonna jump in sales. I have to see the structure behind it to guarantee that it is going to sell off, right? So let's drop to our 1 hour time frame. We can draw another trend line from this 1 hour time frame as such. Oops. So if you're one of my students, you know this is forming one of our patterns that we talk about. We're starting to get like this ascending channel, and then we're also starting to see some divergence here. So that's another indication that the market is potentially about to reverse. On H1, our breaker structure line is here. Without this breaker structure on H1, then we're not really looking to sell it off. But of course, on our smaller time frames, we can look for our smaller time frame breaks and structures to catch a quick sell, but we still got to be mindful of these levels of resistance that price could bounce off of and retest to go higher, right? But on our 15-minute, 30-minute time frame, our breaker structure level is right here. So anything beneath this, break beneath retest, you can sell it down to here. That's the first stopping point. And that'll be about a quick 40-ish points. But that's just depending on the pullback. If it pull back deeper, then you can get a little bit more out of it, maybe like 60 points. But it just depends, right? So even having this little minor structure trend line. So y'all see me work in like this to like the nitty gritty, like the smaller time frames. This is how I would trade it. If I was trading like live session New York, this is how I would analyze price. Like I always get asked the question like, well, how do you know what's about to happen now? Like, how do you trade on a day in and day out basis? This is like what I just did was day in and day out basis. Identify where price will break structure on my higher time frames, and now also identify where price will break structure on my lower time frames. My lower time frame breaks and structures happen here. My 1 hour structure break of structure happens down here. So off the rip, what I can foresee is that if price breaks beneath this area, retest, then I can look for a sell back down to this level of resistance and or this trend line. So what that'll look like is something like this. So boom, I can see something like this happening for NAS this week. And then of course, y'all know we don't just marry one bias. So if this breaks above retest, then continue to look higher. But the only thing about this is that now that we hit our Fibonacci take profit levels, we don't really have really much to judge it off of. We hit negative 61.8, we hit negative 27. There's literally no structure and there's nothing. They're like, we in space right now. Like there's nothing here but clouds. So we don't have nothing else to base it off of. So it's one of those things where it's like if you take a buy, you just gotta be mindful. Like just trail your stop loss along the way so you can maximize the game because you have no stopping points. Now, if you had like resistance, then yeah, you could target those areas. But right now, we don't have nothing to target. So just be mindful of that, right? And then of course, if we break beneath this structure here, then we could sell it back down to the next level of resistance, which was here. Overall, I can definitely see it coming back to this green zone because this was the 4-hour structure that broke. And when we think about the 3 phases, impulse, correction, we will probably correct to this area before it continue to go higher. But that's on a 4-hour time frame. So of course, that's going to take a longer time for price to play out overall, right? So this is the right now move that I could see in the next day or two. And then a 1-hour structure is kind of like towards the end of the week. Now let's see if we got any news real quick. CPI. So we got CPI on Wednesday. So a lot of the movement probably be on Wednesday. And then we got PPI on Thursday. All right, so yeah, it'll probably be a lot more movements later on in the week. But right now, just watch price at this area of resistance and that trend line. But like I said, my overall bias on that is sales. Does anybody have any questions on any of that? All right, so now moving on to US 30. We were here last week, right here. And then the very first thing I said was to watch price at this resistance level because we could reject this level and push back down. And I said if we broke beneath this level of support and retest, then we will wait on the break and retest and then we'll sell it back down. That's exactly what happened here. Price broke beneath, retested, and then pushed down. But overall, this is still consolidating. Just like gold, it's in one big box. So it's not really super clear right now. But the beautiful thing that we can anticipate so far is that just like how we're talking about NAS, we broke above the previous resistance, so we look for a retest. This is almost at this area of interest where we could look for potential buys if we get a bullish price action signal at this area. Otherwise, you can look for the break and retest underneath, right? But of course, we still got to analyze on our higher time frames. So monthly, look at this huge monthly candle. Like it has to pull back eventually, but we don't know when that's going to happen. So we have to just give what the market, we have to take what the market gives us. Daily time frame, pretty much just what I just explained, breaking above this high. We could look for price to retest. 4 hour, pretty much self-explanatory, same thing. 1 hour, we have, it's pretty much all consolidation, but this is our last higher low that we need to pay attention to. And then on 30-minute for my scalpers, this was a nice break beneath, retest, and then let's see where this fib structure is at. So this fib structure just played out for negative 27 TP. So based off of this, where this is at now, this move is finished. So we have to wait. So this is actually a good learning opportunity for everybody to practice patience. Because gold, we had to practice patience last week. And then this week on US 30, we got to practice patience because it's not real clear movement. But overall, for a buy, break above this most recent lower high, retest, and then push up. Or for our sales, I will want to see a break underneath this zone, retest, and then target. Where's our next level? So our next level of support down here. Those will be my targets. But like I said, it's consolidating just like how gold was. It's not the cleanest. So I will personally wait on the break of the consolidation. That's just me though. Nothing super clear, but once you get that breakout of the consolidation, that will give you guys indication on where price is about to head next. And then GU, y'all know last call I said I was more than likely done with GU, but in this case it did play out from where we was at last week. So we were here, and then I said the only bias that I was going to give was to pull back into the zone, and then we need to see what price does from there. Because remember, we had broke structure here with this impulse, and I said we could look for a pullback into the zone, then you need to see what price does. So we had an impulse correction, and then it gave us a beautiful continuation, and this move should be almost complete. So we almost hit our negative 27 TP, but not quite yet. So this week I can see this pushing up to that negative 27 potentially, and we can draw a trend line here as such. Just watch your day in the life. That month was smooth and inspiring. I appreciate that. I love it when my markups match. Absolutely. I love when y'all markups match mine too, because that means y'all learning and that means y'all plugged in. So definitely appreciate y'all tuning in. But all right, so monthly GU, we had some wick exhaustion, still overall in this downtrend structure on the monthly though. Weekly, we had this impulse push down, starting to get this correction, but haven't quite pulled back just yet. Daily, same thing. Now let me draw. Okay, I already got that trend line there. Okay, so we will need a fib from this point A to this point B. All right, so we only at 23.6. That negative 27 lines up with that 38.2 on our daily fib, and then also this is a previous level of support that got broken and never got retested. So I can definitely see this pushing up to this negative 27 before falling. So if I had to give a ghost pattern, it will look as such. Let me find a decent one. Yep, just like that. That looks beautiful. So it's always like an art. It's like a science to this shit. But all right, of course, y'all know in, day out, can't be just too biased on buys. So I can see this little minor structure, impulse, and correction. So I could definitely see this maybe pulling down into here first before buying. So I'm going to just keep that on there because this definitely could hit that negative 27 before buying. So really, it could do something like this. Like push down into here and then buy. So let's see if I can make this. I can't really fix it. I'm going to just leave it as such. But this is an option. So be mindful of this. And I'm going to put a zone here. So be mindful of that. But I could definitely see this pushing up and hitting that negative 27 this week. So that's what I have on GU. And last but not least, GJ. Last week we talked about GJ, how we was talking about those sales. We hit the negative 61.8. And then we had said we would look for this break and retest under here and then sell it to this blue zone. This broke, retested, and sold off. You can see the note sells if we break and retest to carry to the blue zone. So I can delete all of that stuff now. And then currently, where we are at on GJ, let's look at the higher time frames. Monthly, a lot of weak exhaustion, but we did close with this bearish engulfing, so be mindful of that. Weekly impulse correction, looking to get a continuation. Daily, we broke beneath this structure point. Do I have that marked off? Nope. So let's identify that as a break of structure. And then we also broke and retested this trend line here. And then on a 1 hour, we can see that lower low, lower high. So let's draw out the structure: lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low. So from there on H1, we'll go to H1. From there, we had this impulse breaker structure that broke this trend line. So remember we talked about we was in a descending channel, and then we spoke about once price broke structure out of the descending channel and retested, then we could look for our buys. So this was 23.6. Didn't quite make it to that negative 27 TP. So I could potentially see this continue to push up. But the only thing is that the main structure bias is still sales. So there is a possibility it can push down, but I can foresee this hitting this negative 27. And this lines up with this level of resistance here. So based off of where we at though, currently, we just had this impulse, just like GJ. I can definitely see this pulling down and then buying up like such. So look for buys in this gray zone right here. And then if we break beneath that gray zone, retest, then look to sell it off to this blue zone right here. And that's pretty much what I have on GJ. Pretty simple. Does anybody have any questions about any of that? Somebody said, why gold always want to go for 100 plus points every Sunday call? I don't know, bro. Gold, like, see, look at this shit. We was just talking about sales. But I don't know, for the last like month and a half, bro, gold, every time we got on the call, it's like, man, it's just been melting. Like, I don't know what's to it, but every Sunday, it's like gold just, I'm going to push every Sunday. It's like it loads up on Friday just to push on Sunday. But damn, this definitely it looking like it's gonna push. Hopefully we can get a break out of that consolidation like we talked about, so we can get those sell-offs that I was mentioning. But that's just, we just gotta wait and see, because this easily, even though it look like it's pushing right now, it could still easily stop and then be like whoop. So keep that in the back of your mind. Somebody say, can you mark up the DXY? Sure. The DXY I have as such. I still had this fib structure on here from the daily time frame. Let's draw this trend line here. So it was a trend line break and retest on this daily time frame. I can definitely see this pushing up, and that kind of goes hand in hand with the sell bias of gold. And then on a 4 hours time frame, there's a possibility that this pushes lower before dropping. So let me get a little bit closer in price. There's a chance that this can push down, but we sitting at this level of resistance, so we might get to buy off of here. And we also sitting on this trend line. But to confirm that it's gonna buy, you will wait on the break and retest of this structure point here. And then that will be, once they take out this high, that invalidates that fib. But overall, just waiting to see if this is gonna play out, if it's gonna finish this fib structure before buying, or if it's just gonna continue to buy up. 1 hour looks like it's gonna buy up. But the very first thing, so if I just had to get y'all a ghost pattern for right now, this is going to push up to this trend line here. Like this. Yeah, and probably hit that negative 27. So yeah, that's what I have right now. And then of course, if it break beneath the lows, retest it, and then sell it down to the next stopping point, which is this little minor level, negative 27, and this level of support. So that's what I have on DXY. There's still an opportunity to push down, but it might come back and hit that trend line first. But all right, does anybody else have any questions about any of that? Because now I'm hungry. I'm about to go get me something to eat. Somebody say something.
Mike, real quick.
Yeah.
So when you hit a 23 on GJ, is that a situation where you would move the fib?
Yeah, in a sense, but I ain't want to go into in detail with that, because I ain't want to confuse people. But yeah, you could adjust the fib, but the only reason why I'm skeptical about adjusting it even right now is because that negative 27 line up with this zone, but my main bias is still bearish and it line up with that trend line. So I don't want to look to it to go any further up here because it's still a main level resistance and a negative 27 take profit level there. So I'm gonna just see if it's gonna respect and hit that negative 27 and then bounce. And if it continue to push higher, then I know that this extension of this fib is gonna go up to here. That makes sense. All right,
Is that
perfect.
divergence?
Yeah, it was from here. That's why we got this buy. So that's why this buy right now is originating.
What about on that section right there? After I have that marked off, but what about
You talking about this here?
is
Yeah, that's
that
divergence. Yep. And that's why I said like I'm expecting sales, but I just want to see if it's gonna push up to this area first before getting there.
I was thinking the same thing with the eyes, but then I saw that divergence just threw me off, so I was like, I'm not too sure.
Yeah, it's a possibility, but even then, like, if it break beneath these lows, then you could take the retest and catch the sales. The main buy is the sales, but of course, I could still see it pushing up higher before the sale. But of course, if it give us that sell indication that we're looking for, then we just take the sales. Make sense?
Okay, yeah, got it. Thank you, Mike.
No problem. Mike, on the DXY, is that a head and shoulders to fall? Let's look. Yeah, potentially, but that's why I even said like I could see this pushing to this potential negative 27, but right now I could see it pushing up to this trend line first. And that's on the 4 hour. But overall, I mean that's on the 1 hour. On the 4 hour time frame, I could see this pushing higher long term, but that's of course that's long term. So that's one of those things where it definitely can form this head and shoulders that you were mentioning before, and that kind of goes hand in hand with the fib that I drew. So it definitely can do that before buying up. But like I said, right now, since we sitting on this support and near this daily trend line, I just want to be sure it's not gonna bounce off of that because still on the daily time frame, the main structure is still very bullish right now. About how many trades you think you average a week? Anywhere from like 3 to 4. That's like a good median. It just depends. Like last week, I only had 2 because it was the consolidation on gold, and then NAS didn't quite pull back to the area that I was looking for. So it all really just depends on the week. Sometimes you're not gonna be able to get what you normally get, and sometimes you're gonna get more than what you can normally get. So just a case in and case out basis. So okay, thanks, boss. No problem. Let's see if I got any other questions. All right, perfect. So we already know what to expect throughout the week. We talked about gold, we talked about NAS, we talked about GJ, so forth and so on. Now the only thing is, hold on. Well, somebody said, what's the longest that you hold your trades? It just depends. Honestly, like I don't like to hold my trades more than a day. So like, if it's not getting to the area that I foresee it getting to in a day or so, and it's like rejecting, then I probably get out. But the most I hold is like 2 days. Like swing trading and stuff like that, like multiple days at a time, that's really not my cup of tea. I like to be in and out, more like intraday where I'm in and out on the same day. But I'll hold a trade. I'll definitely hold a trade overnight though. Like if it's like, let's just say like I was in gold right now. If I was in gold and then I would have to hold it to the next morning, I could definitely, like, that's something I would do. But I don't really like to hold trades for multiple days at a time. So let me see if I got any other questions. How y'all been liking my reels though? Y'all been messing with the content? Let me know something, cause I got a lot of stuff that I got planned to film. But let me know how y'all feel about the content. All right, like I said, I got another YouTube video that's dropping this week about time frames. So definitely be on the lookout for that. And then even like with these DMs, even with the last reel that I just dropped, I got a lot of DMs, a lot of replies and stuff. So if you are like one of those people that reach out about like mentoring stuff, make sure you fill out the form, because I get this question so much. Like people like, well, can I do the mentorship when you're taking students? And if you didn't fill out the form, then you won't be considered, because honestly, I don't even like, I got one student right now for January that's starting January, and I really told her like she probably the only student that I'm taking, but I'll open it for one person because I was really planning on taking two. But like I said, you gotta make sure that you fill out the form. If we don't compatible, if I don't think that you serious about your craft, then I'm not wasting my time, because lately I just feel like people will try to do it and then they don't really want to give like the full 100%. And it's kind of like one of those things where like I don't want to really want to waste my time on somebody that's not really serious. So if you have reached out to me about that, just make sure that you fill out the form. The form is on my website, www.lidoeffects.com. The direct link, if you go straight to the link, if you need the link to go straight to the Trader Accelerator, is www.lidoeffects.com/Trader Accelerator. If not, for everybody else that want the blueprint course, definitely take advantage of that. It's on my main website as well. But for everybody else, just keep plugging into these calls week in and week out, because I give a lot of value on these calls for you guys. So definitely take advantage of those, and then I will see you all again next Sunday. Peace out.